Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Scott Wurtzbacher, and today we're going to take the concept of work hard, play hard to a whole new level of possible. Our guest is Michelle Mills, a real estate broker from Bend, Oregon, who has prioritized travel and figured out how to systematically take off 3 to 4 months every year and has done so for the past 10 years. She's a lifelong Oregonian and loves exploring her home state by horse, by motorcycle, by bicycle, and even running with her dog. But when she's not at home, she's generally somewhere overseas exploring the world for long stretches at a time. Now, as a fellow realtor, I want to know how she does it. And today, that's what she is here to share with us. Michelle, welcome to the campfire.
Hi there. Nice to see everybody.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Michelle. If we can, let's just start with a little bit of background of you and life in Oregon and a little bit about your business, and tell us about Michelle.
All right. I'm Michelle Mills. I live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, Bend, Oregon. We've got the Deschutes River flowing through our town. We've got mountains shimmering in the background. Everywhere you go out your front door is really like a playground. So we're super fortunate to have trees and rivers and mountains just surrounding where we live. I've been selling real estate for 22 years and I love it. I eat, breathe, live it when I'm not doing my other fun place things. And gosh, I have lived in Oregon my whole life. My family actually came on the Oregon Trail. We homesteaded in Eugene, Oregon. We still have part of our family bean farm in Eugene, and I've made my home and definitely call home here in Bend, Oregon.
I love it. Well, fun fact, I think I might have shared this with you once before, but for listeners, I had a stint in Eugene, Oregon. Don't remember it, but when I was a kid, I lived there for, I guess, a couple of years with my family before we moved back to the East. So wish I knew you had a bean farm there. Maybe I would have had a chance to check it out. But yeah, so Michelle, you and I, we first met from a real estate standpoint. We were on kind of a panel together, and we were, just getting to know each other. And I think the thing that just really just inspired me as a fellow business owner was, I love adventure and I love to be able to take these epic adventures, and I know the planning and what goes into it. And, my family and I have started leveling up. First, it was 1 week, 2 weeks, last summer we did a month. And then comes along Michelle Mills, and she's knocking out 4 months a year consistently. And it's a huge inspiration to know like what's possible. And I just would love to talk about how you do it.
Well, the funny thing, people ask that, and I think, oh gosh, either you came from privilege or how do you do this? And the fact is, I came from a small town of like 3,000 people. My family, very modest means. And really, here's the secret. Are you ready, Scott? The secret is buy the plane ticket. That's all you have to do. That's it. If you buy a plane ticket, you end up going. That's the hardest step for you to make, is to make the decision. And that decision, you're going. If you buy the plane ticket to go someplace, everything else will fall into place. And you talk about this planning. I have to say I'm a little loose on the planning. I honestly maybe open the guidebook when I get on the plane on my way to the place that I'm headed to and say, I've learned that you should maybe book your first night. But besides that, I never book anything more than my first night. And it is amazing. The world just opens up. It works out. You flow with it. You meet people. You end up going on these incredible adventures. You talk to one traveler that's been to one place and it talks about how beautiful it is. And, next thing you know, that's where you're headed. I've always felt like I have a treasure map that I'm not sure where I got it, but it's somewhere in my heart and soul and mind that is all these incredible destinations that I get to visit. So I typically pick a new place every time I go. I rarely go back to the same place twice. And I've been to 53 different countries, and will continue. My goal is to always keep as many countries as I am old. So I think I'm a
Wow.
little bit ahead of my age right now, but plan on keeping that going.
What an awesome goal. I love that. Now, you said something that really resonated with me, because part of the reason that I started this podcast was to talk to people about that voice inside that calls to adventure. And you just called it a treasure map in your heart. I love that. So there's so much I want to talk about. I want to talk about the destination, some of your favorite places, but there's going to be a lot of adventure on this call. Let's go straight to that treasure map and that place in your heart. Can you talk about like what that is, where you got it? What does it feel like?
It's probably something that is hard to explain, except for to probably all the other folks that love adventure and have that sense of wanderlust. But it always feels like my next trip just presents itself.
Mm,
I don't go searching, I don't plan. Maybe it's a comment. While I was visiting Australia, someone told me that Mozambique was one of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. And so just different travelers sitting around and sharing places that they dream of. And then it gets, somewhere back in the corner part of your brain that, wow, okay, I think I wanted that's an adventure I want to do. But I think just an openness of what's the next adventure. And you'll laugh at me, but sometimes there's a little app, Travel Zoo, and I'm not promoting them, but
yeah.
they have specials, and every now and again, that's how I ended up in Vietnam. I was like, $625 to go to Vietnam, I'm in. uh,
Love it.
so there I was. I decided to ride my bicycle around Southeast Asia for 8 months, literally off of a whim, because it was $625 and that seemed like a good idea. Not my parents didn't think that was my best plan. Coming from the Vietnam War era, they thought I was you don't really sign up for that. Why do we our generation didn't want to go,
Yeah.
and here you are volunteering and maybe not doing it in the easiest way possible. So
It's a destination. So, I mean, like I'm hearing like, I know we have planners that listen to this call. We probably also have, you and I know it as being a free spirit, right? And I think
yes.
you've got an intense free spirit. Am I right there?
Yeah, freedom and free spirit. Yeah, for sure.
Freedom and free spirit. So how far in advance, you said the first step is buy the plane ticket. How far in advance do you typically decide where you're going to go for that particular year?
Okay, this is a funny story. This just happened last summer. Uh, I had always wanted to go to Croatia. It was kind of on the list. And 72 hours before I left, I booked a plane ticket, a sailboat, found a captain, and I jumped on a plane 72 hours later. And I landed, and within 4 hours, I was sailing around the ocean for a week in Croatia with absolutely no plan. The captain said he had never ever had someone show up by themselves with zero plans of what they
Yeah.
wanted to see or where they wanted to go. And I just said, "Hey, you do this all the time. Let's go. Where do you want to go? What's your favorite spot? Let's sail. Let's take us where the winds will go." But it's not always a 72-hour choice,
Yeah.
right? But many times it really does just fall into your lap. Just say yes, just buy the plane ticket and go for it.
Buy the plane ticket, just say yes. Now, the thing I know about you though is that there's a time of year, because there is some degree of structure in your life. I know, like that you have a particular time of year every year that you travel, and you're going to travel during that time of year.
Yeah, what I found, and I guess everybody's there's different seasons in life, different seasons of the year. For us, in the winter time, it starts to snow, so it's not quite as attractive to be tromping around out there looking at houses. And the holidays are a quieter time that people are not necessarily wanting to show their house and put their house in the market. And so I look forward to, I really start getting itchy in about October, and by Halloween I'm on a plane going somewhere. And I stay gone. Again, Thanksgiving, it's just a good time. People have made other plans. Christmas, it's just a good time for me to be away from my business. A lot of other folks are, focusing in different areas, and it's a great time that kind of the world slows down, at least in my market and for me. And it seems like to be an acceptable time to take a vacation, because everybody's going to somebody's house for the holidays. And so my holiday just happens to get expanded to
Yes.
a bit longer time frame.
Yes. Well, and we're going to come back to some of the how, because you've put a lot of effort and energy into building a great team so that you can do this stuff. Like, you're not just picking up and leaving your clients hanging, because your team has got your back, and your clients are going to be served. And that's already kind of been established and planned out. So before we come back to that sort of how, look, can we just do kind of a quick overview of some of your favorite places over the last 10 years? And really I know you've been traveling your whole life. You've been experiencing adventures your whole life, but this sort of 3 to 4 months away from your business, this is a 10-year thing. Where are some of your favorite places that you've been?
Oh, this is always a fun game. People ask me what my favorites are, and I think there's an experience in every country that makes that country my favorite. So of
Yes.
every trip, there's some authentic experience where I like to go for. I never stay less than a month. Really, it would be very rare for me to stay someplace less than a month, because you got to get deep. You want to get to know the culture and the people, and have the opportunity to really not just be a tourist. I don't ever go and stay at the, brand name places, because that's just, I might as well stay in the United States if I wanted to have that type of experience. So really being willing to go outside of what and be willing to have some times where it's uncomfortable. Every single country I've ever been to, there's a day or a week that I'm like, no wonder people don't travel with me. This is terrible. Maybe I should plan. And because it doesn't always work out to just be, rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
There's some struggle in there too, but it's always darkest before the dawn. So you really sometimes have your worst experiences right before that special experience. A country that really is near and dear in my heart is actually Cuba. Cuba was a fun adventure. I snuck in. So I flew to Mexico, took a private plane, just took a little jumper plane from Cancun. And upon arrival, I got the shakedown from the Cuban government. They looked at
Okay.
every single thing in my backpack. They asked me questions. I had to go in the back and be questioned. And really, I was just a cover so that they could ship in a bunch of kitchen appliances and blenders and kind of funny stuff. I was in no danger, but it was rather entertaining. But what I liked most about Cuba is truly they're the most resourceful people and the happiest people who really don't have a lot. They've been cut off from most of the rest of the world for a very long time, and man, they keep their cars running. I saw a guy study this sponge for 30 minutes before he bought it, because this was such an important purchase. Something that we don't even think a second about. And they have found joy in the simplicity of music and dance. Everybody plays an instrument. Everybody dances. From great grandpa to the babies, they're out there salsa dancing and playing instruments, and their instruments are like duct taped and strings and things that the instrument's never going to die, and they just keep things going.
Yes.
And they found a joy in really the simple things.
I'm having visions in here. Are you in there dancing and playing and singing?
Oh, you know it. They would give free salsa dancing lessons, and it turns out with just the right amount of rum, I can dance. At least I thought I could. But just a very warm and welcoming and just great people that have really learned to thrive in an environment that many would consider to be pretty difficult.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Scott here. Did you know that the members of my real estate team, W Realty Group, are listening to their own voices that call to adventure by setting big goals? Some of those goals include planning trips to Bali and the Kingdom of Bhutan, buying investment homes, and running the Chicago Marathon. At W Realty Group, we support and encourage these big goals and want to help turn them into reality. We're currently looking to add new members to the team. If you know a great real estate agent in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that would benefit from being part of our team, please send a text, an email, or give me a call. And know that when you support W Realty Group, you're also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening. Yeah. So you mentioned, the highlight reel and some of the struggles and the uncomfortableness. Like, talk to me about some of the struggles you've encountered along the way.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. I rode my bike 1,000 miles in Spain on the Camino de Santiago.
Yeah.
And first day, I've got 30, 40 pounds in my panniers. And I'm, of course, inspired on those first few days, broke off the rear derailleur, had to push it back to the start. I mean, there's definitely a lot of talking to yourself that I'm strong enough. I can do this, through the tears, through the there's generally some struggles and tears that go along with the victories. I did a motorcycle trip in New Zealand, and
cool.
Literally and I had this baby blue brand new BMW motorcycle. And I'm not kidding you, the first roundabout I went through in Auckland, they go the wrong way for me around the roundabout. So I hesitated just enough, laid the bike down in the middle of the intersection of the double roundabout, and I couldn't pick my motorcycle up. So I'm just crying, standing beside the motorcycle, thinking, this isn't quite how I thought it was going to go. Yeah. I pushed the bike back to the shop, got a little smaller bike, and I was scared every day. Literally, people would be, right on my tail, and I tore off my helmet, I'm a girl, be nice to me. I'm scared on this thing. And,
yeah.
You have the sheep poop come up and hit you in the teeth. And everything from, I ended up, Africa is probably one of the harder places. If you're going to do Africa, plan it. Don't just wing it. That's advice from a seasoned traveler. Go ahead and plan Africa, because it's
I'm hearing a story coming on.
It's tough. So I flew into Mozambique after traveling for almost 60 hours. I flew through South Africa, took a plane to Maputo, Mozambique, expecting to see those beautiful coastlines, that what I had heard in the stories. Only, unfortunately, what I found was a very war-torn country with poverty and suffering unlike anything in the rest of the world. Really, literally, starving children and the things that you're like, how could this still be happening in a civilized world where we have so much? I made a deal, jumped in the back of a pickup truck. 3 days later, I had no food, no water. I ate a tomato and a Coca-Cola for 3 days.
Wow.
And got to this place, because that it was in the guidebook that it was a UNESCO travel, heritage site. I get there, and unfortunately the guy said, no, you can't stay at this hotel. And I was like, well, I have to stay at this hotel. There's no other place for a little blonde girl like me.
Yeah.
So finally, he charges me $600 a night for a terrible hotel. I get there, there's a lightning and a thunderstorm. All the power goes out. The mosquitoes are biting my eyelids. It's just like, what have I done to myself here?
Right.
And then as it got darker, I realized maybe why he didn't want me to stay there. they were actually bringing young girls in, and it
Ah,
was a sex slave hotel.
oh my gosh.
And so I realized I was in quite a bit of danger. I had to tie myself into my room with my cell phone cord and a little padlock from my luggage.
Wow.
And the owner of the hotel tried to get into my room in the night, and I just laid there in a little mosquito net and all my clothes and something covering my face until the sun came up, and then made a run for it. And had to just take whatever ride I could get. I got stopped with guys with machine guns and just went to the nearest airport. I literally, I still don't know what airport it was. And I ended up flying into several countries that I still don't know where I was.
Yeah.
And I finally ended up in Tanzania and had an amazing time camping in the Serengeti, and ended up, again, one of those things where the elephants were pooping right outside my tent and I could hear the lions roar. And I
Right.
felt safer than I did
You
in the,
felt safer. I know. Like I felt this like feeling of like safety come over me as soon as you said Tanzania, because I've been there and I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling safer for you. But I'm almost feeling like, oh my goodness, this is like this is going to be an episode on why not to follow the voice that calls you to adventure.
It's true. It's true. I was like, I don't want to tell my mom these stories. I hope she's
Yeah.
not listening. But
Yeah.
it's just, again, my grandfather gave me the best advice, which was walk tall and carry a big stick. And wherever I am, I have that. I don't have a big stick, but
Yeah.
I envision that in my mind, that I'm like, hey, I'm walking tall. I am not to be messed with, and it's amazing how you really can carry yourself in a way.
I love it.
Everybody's not going to be called to that kind of adventure. And honestly, if I had to do it over again, I might do a few steps different. But it was certainly an adventure of a lifetime.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Listening to your story, like a bunch of words kind of popped in my mind. Like I'm obviously talking to somebody that has a very high threshold for, I'm not going to say no fear, but a very high threshold for pushing through fear. Somebody with courage, somebody with resilience, and somebody with an incredible amount of resourcefulness. And I'm curious, like in all of these adventures that you've taken, like what, so first of all, where did all, like, would you agree with those words in terms of like how they describe you?
You know, in the moment of fear, it's still fear. I'm
Yeah.
still scared. There's not a there's nobody that I think could go through those experiences. But yeah, you do. You realize this too shall pass. Our brilliant friend Brian Buffini gave us those words of advice,
Yes.
and it really is, learning to a lot of it is breathing. I
Yes.
practice some meditation, and sometimes you just have to go to a different place. You really, in your mind, can't buy into everything that's going on, because this is sometimes a life and death situation.
Yeah.
Not everybody goes on holiday like that. My holiday is a little more like Survivor. But you really do, uh, and also tuning in. My gut is right. My intuition is right. I listen to that both in the fun part as well as the dangerous parts, to say, ooh, is this feeling, how, checking in with myself, how does this feel?
Hmm.
And what do I need to be aware of? I always say, with awareness, I'm doing this with awareness. I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to everything. I don't allow myself to get necessarily caught up in just the good time. I'm constantly, because I'm by myself, I've done all
Yes.
my travels by
Yep.
myself. And
Yep.
so I'm constantly aware of my surroundings, and I have kind of plans. I have money belts in like 4 different places. I've got things stashed. I've learned, where to hide things in the liner of the garbage can, because nobody checks the liners of the garbage can. Behind pictures at your hotel, like I constantly have my plan, my backup plan, and then one more plan behind that
Yeah.
of how I'm going to get out of the situation if I need to.
I knew you were a planner. I'm getting like a James Bond vibe right now, by the way. So I love it. But you do this willingly. I mean, you go on these trips and you're going to get put in, you're going to have a blast. And sometimes there's going to be like these compromising situations, like the one that, I mean, that's a pretty extreme situation that you talked about in Africa. But like, you know, I'm not going to say that you seek this out, but like, these things are going to happen.
I kind of do seek it out. I've found that I love adrenaline and adventure, and if I don't find my best outlet for that, I'm going to create it in my own life.
Mm,
And so instead of creating that kind of, dragging people through my adventure spirit, if I could have an outlet that is my travel, that gets my yayas off in a healthier way, it creates less drama, stress, and dragging people on an adventure in life. Somebody kind of, my coach actually said, you like drag three people through a landmine, a field full of landmines. You know where they are, but they don't, and they think they're just going on this like terrible adventure, this scary thing, when I've already anticipated these things. When
yeah.
I go on a trip, I prepare my bags. I am ready. I am ready to survive in the wilderness. I am ready to go through, medical things, and so my pack it's light, but it's full of necessities
Hmm.
of things that you've got to have the water purification tablets. You've got to have some certain types of medication. There are many things before the journey that ensure that hopefully I never have to use those
Right.
things. But my bag typically has the survival kit in it for just about any circumstance.
Yeah. So can you talk about sort of the learning? Cause again, as a free spirit, like I'm imagining like you kind of learn these things by experience. Like, can we go back sort of to the beginning, like, and talk through sort of the development of how some of that learning came about? I mean, the very first trip you went on, you probably didn't pack your bag with absolutely everything you needed.
That is so well, actually, the first few trips I went on, I would overpack, and
Okay.
I was like that girl, like that was like the turtle that was gonna get stuck on her, on her back with her massive backpack
Yeah.
because I brought the kitchen sink with me, and then you do each trip where I ended up eating some really bad. What I thought was beef noodle soup. It ended up to be rat soup
Wow.
in Vietnam. And the rat and I didn't really digest all that well. So I ended up
Yeah.
in the hospital in Vietnam for a week that I really
Okay.
don't remember much of. I was really excited when they told me I was going to live. And so, yeah, it's just, less is more. I have a packing list and I stick to it. And you don't need more than two pairs of shorts and two shirts and one pair of tennis shoes. You don't need the things you think you need.
Yeah.
Just the more simple you can pack and travel, the easier it's going to be, because then it's not a struggle every time you want to change directions or you're moving about. The stuff you bring with you, I always say anything that's in my bag, you have to be willing to give it up. The only thing I'm not willing to give up is my passport.
There you go.
Maybe like one credit card, and I always put $20 in my passport,
Yeah.
and so like that $20 has gotten me out of more trouble in more countries. Just like pass it off. Here's my passport. Here's an extra 20, $100, and they think that you're too wealthy, and so they're going to keep going. But
20
never
bucks is the
pack
key.
anything that you're not willing to leave behind.
Mhm.
There's nothing of value. My safety, hopefully my passport. These are the things that are the only thing I really care if I lose it or somebody takes it. And I definitely have been in a few situations where I'm like, I'm leaving that backpack behind and I'm running.
Wow. Wow. Where I want to go back to like where this kind of started for you, this sort of adventure life and the adventure mindset. Like, could take us back to the years of little Michelle. Like, how did this all come about?
I, my mom would tell you, I was just a daredevil, and I think I came out with a little bit of fire in me. So I've been pretty adventurous and pretty social. We'd go camping as kids, and I'd like make friends with the whole campground. For the end of the week, I'd know where everybody was from and what kid went on what camp, and so I think just that ability to build rapport
Hmm.
and have no fear in being showing up, just being authentic. Hi, I'm little Michelle. I'm from Lebanon, Oregon. It's nice to meet you. And a smile and a trust in the good of people has really done me such a great service all over the world.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really believe in the kindness and the good in people. And of course, there's times where for whatever reason, people have their circumstances, and so there's exceptions, but for the most part, people are good and people are nice, and if you treat them respectfully, they will also treat you respectfully.
Yeah.
I started off the first time that I got to leave my little town of Lebanon, Oregon, and go out of the country. I had the opportunity to play tennis for the United States. And my mom was out there, and we did car washes, and we collected cans, and we did fundraisers to enable me to be able to earn the money to go on a trip like this and get to play tennis all over Europe. And I just saw a bigger picture of the world,
Mm.
you know, a perspective that I had never seen in my little town, different ways of doing things, just even a British accent, and diversity that I wasn't exposed to until really seeing a different way of life, and I caught the bug, and that was no turning back from there. It's my mom had no idea the damage she did on that one trip sending me because
Well, one thing I heard you say that I really liked is, you just have this kind of belief in the kindness of humans in general. And the courage that you bring to these trips. It seems like it's kind of based on this belief in like the open heartedness. Is that fair? Is that?
Oh, absolutely. And it's really what I hope that everybody gets a chance when we're stripped away from all of our comforts. We get comfortable in our little boxes, in our
Mhm.
homes, with our friends, with things being the same every day. But when that's all taken away, and you're stripped of like any familiarity that you could ever have, and it's just you really break it down to what is your authentic self. What
Mm.
do you do when nobody knows you, nobody's watching, you don't know a single soul, you've never seen anything that you're experiencing. When I arrived in Vietnam, it really felt like somebody took me on a spaceship and dropped me off on a like alien planet,
Yeah.
because there was nothing like it that I had ever experienced before. The smells, I mean, the streets of Saigon,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's like garbage and toilets and armpits
Yeah.
mixed into like
Yeah.
one little soup of smells. And so what do you do in those situations? How do you bring about your courage? And I actually find that it's my bravest moments, it's my strongest moments. I come home like on fire, like I can do anything. I am motivated to get back to the career that I've chosen. I want to just share that like fire that's inside that comes from kind of stripping away the comforts and the everyday box that we live in.
Yes, I love that stripping away and that point about the fire inside. It seems like having this conversation. I mean, you just seem like somebody that's just not afraid of anything. Michelle, does anything scare you?
Yes, I recently flew over the handlebars of my mountain bike, and the flying was okay, but I'm really scared of the landing now.
Uh,
So now I think flying good, landing not so good.
landing lots
Uh,
of.
but yes, I have fears, but it's like we all have fears. Anybody that is going to do this and live this life, but I like to switch it around. And when I'm scared, I like to say I'm excited. I'm
I love that.
excited,
I love that.
for
Wasn't there
service
something
or
we've
here.
learned that like your body, like the same thing that registers like anxiety is it's the same mechanisms that register excitement, right? So you
Yeah,
just kind of flip it in your brain. Yeah, I love
yeah.
it. And you do that magically, probably better than anybody I know. So I do know, like in one of the original conversations that we had, um, you didn't always have the confidence that you could go do this sort of thing. Like I remember you talking about sort of, a moment or a period when, you kind of decided, like you said, you made that decision, like, yes, I can do this. And I'm just wondering, because, I think people are going to listen to you and just think, man, she does have no fear. Like she just gets after it. Like I couldn't do that. And I feel like you were there at one point. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can remember this moment where my dad told me it was time to get my heads out of the cloud and come down into reality. And I was like, oh God, what does that look like? All right. So I decided to button myself down and really put my heart and soul, and I got into real estate,
Yep.
and I decided that I was 30, so darn it, it was about time that I should get married. And so I tried that out. And then we had this little market crash. I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys all remember that,
Oh
say
yeah.
about
Oh yeah.
2007,
Yep.
where I had kind of bought into this keeping up with the Joneses.
Hmm.
And I was married, and I was trying to I bought a bunch of real estate, and I overextended myself. I thought I didn't, but I was living honestly a lie. I was if I traveled, it was just like a nicer trip, and I got caught into a life that I didn't recognize as my own
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And that ended in a very painful divorce. That was probably one of the lowest moments of my life, where I was on my knees in the shower wondering if I was going to make it through. And I lost everything. I didn't even know who I was anymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of awesome. That was actually the trip after that was the 1,000-mile bike ride in Spain,
Yeah.
and it took everything in me to get through that. That still is one of the harder experiences of my life, because I was emotionally in a rough spot, as well as doing one of the hardest physical things I had ever done as well. And in the snow and in the cold in the Pyrenees mountains, and I couldn't feel my feet for hours at a time. But through those hard experiences, on the other side of it, you realize just how strong you are. And kind of going through some great seminars. I remember kind of getting back to like, okay, I want to do this again, but I feel like I can't anymore. I'm not in a position. I'm stuck now. That was a different life, and I may never get to feel that kind of alive again. And yeah, I get it. Other people did it. I used to do it, but I don't know if I can get there again. And I can remember thinking of one of our friends that Scott and I know, and he had done investment properties, and he had built this team. And I thought, well, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but that's just not my reality. I
Yeah.
can't do that. And the more you spend time with people that do it,
Yes.
it helps you see a path that it is possible, that
Yes.
you can be that person. And it's so strange to me now to be in the position where I'm trying to help other people see that, because I've been in the seat where I can't do that. That's not my life. That's somebody else's reality. There's no way that I could ever take that kind of time off. They don't know my business. They don't know my life. But it turns out, you actually can get in that position. And maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but I think that part of it is letting down the ego that says I'm the only one that can do it.
Yep.
The way I do it is better than anybody else.
Yep.
It turns out it's not. It turns out that you can delegate. It turns out that I'm not saving lives out here. I'm just helping people with their real estate, and that I've got this team where they're even more talented than I could have ever been. And if I'm not recharging my batteries and showing up as my best self, people are going to feel that too. And instead, people feel the like joy and the like, I'm on fire for life. And they want to be around people like that. And so it's actually a charge to my business to go away, take care of myself, do the things I love so that I can come back. And, now I do client parties and theme it with whatever country I just went to. So I came
I
back
love
from
this.
vacation. I brought
Yeah.
some wines, and I threw a party, and it was all Croatian themed. And so, really finding ways that you can do it. It does not come at the cost of the business. As a matter of fact, it increases, and people can tell when you're fired up and in love with your life, and they want more of that, and they want to be around you and do business with you and be friends with you, because you give off a different energy than someone who's burned out, doesn't really believe in their fire anymore.
Yes. I love that. This is amazing, because like people think they need to go get away, just to kind of recharge themselves. But like what we sometimes fail to realize is it's actually making us better for others. And so what you're talking about here is like, by doing this for yourself, by doing this thing that you love, you're actually coming back with more fire, with more energy, and it's actually helping the people around you and your business to be better. And here's the cool thing, like you talked about surrounding yourself with people that are doing it, and that's what you did to get there. And now you're the person that people want to be surrounded by, so that they can go do the kinds of things that you're doing. And that's just so cool. You followed your heart, you listen to the voice that calls you to adventure, you do it every year, and it's just a huge inspiration. I love it so much. Michelle, like, so for people that are listening that are inspired by your story, that love this energy, that love, the infectious energy that you bring, but maybe are back there in that place where you were saying, I can't do that. This adventure lifestyle that this Michelle person is living, that's all well and good, but I can't do that. You said that. What advice do you have for those people, having been in their shoes?
I'm going to go back to my original. Just buy the plane ticket.
Yeah, buy the plane ticket.
Just buy the plane ticket. Book it. What's something that you've dreamed of? And if you're a planner, buy it for next year. Buy it for whatever timeline that you think you need as an individual. But like, what is it that like fires you up inside, that like just saying the name of the place gets it so that you got butterflies and your heart starts beating a little faster? Where is it? What have you always dreamed of? Just do it, book it, and then you'll put the things in place. You'll make the sacrifices that it takes to get there, because you've planned it. You got the
plane ticket. You got to do it.
Plane ticket. So just book the plane ticket. That really is what will move the dial from, oh, I'd like to do that, to, oh, I'm going. I got a plane ticket. I'm on my way to Greece, or I'm on my way to, again, whatever that is. And wherever that is, there's nobody has the answer to Shangri-La. That is what's inside you. And it could be a camping trip to Yosemite. There's 1,000 different destinations that are what you need inside you, that just like pushes you outside of the comfort zone of every day into like a dream that you never thought possible.
I love it. Okay, so a couple more fun questions. Before that, though, I want to know, do you know where you're going this year?
Well, Scott, we talked about this a little bit, and for the first time, there is one little magic spot for me that's always been something special to my heart. I love the Hawaiian Islands. I used to live on a sailboat in Oahu, and it's just the energy in Hawaii is something, the aloha spirit. It's real, it's alive. So I bought an investment property, and one of them is a personal home there. And so I've been spending more time in Maui, and I kind of love it. It's slowed down the, like, not going to Africa, but I'm just so thrilled to be growing banana trees and picking papayas and kind of creating another beautiful life of something that I've been trying to figure out a way to buy property in Maui for 10 solid years. I've been like stalking the real estate market in Maui. So that's a new chapter and a new adventure that is not maybe quite as exciting as some of the places that I've been to, but it definitely feeds me in a different way.
Yeah.
And so that's a new kind of chapter in my life and something that I look forward to. And so the next stop is Maui. I hope you guys are going to come soon.
I
And
love it. And I just have to say, because it's such a, like, being in the real estate business as well, like just seeing you take a couple of different passions, like real estate as an investment and your love of adventure, and being able to marry those two through investment, which, a lot of people, think, oh, well, the person just, buys this investment property and that's great. They're going to go spend all their time in Hawaii. But like, this is actually an investment, an income producing property for you that, something that you've been working at for a long time. And it's super inspiring. And then to do it in such a beautiful place as Hawaii, it's like the extra punch. It's so inspiring. And I'm like, it's yet another reason why you're somebody that I want to surround myself with. I love it.
Well, I think highly of both you and Maria. I'm so grateful to know you, and really, it's such a pleasure. Surround yourself with people that you want to be like, and you know, you can do anything. It's pretty amazing, the people we spend time with, and how much that influences our lives.
So speaking of people that we spend time with, I want to know, because Hollywood's going to make a movie about you at some point. All these adventures, my gosh, like you told some stories today that, it might have to be a horror film. I don't know, or a psychological thriller. I'm not sure, but I want to know, when they tell the story of your life in Hollywood, who's going to be the actress that's going to play you?
Oh, I love this. I love this. I have two favorite actresses, is Cameron Diaz or Uma Thurman.
Oh my gosh,
And
both of those. Yes.
either one.
Yes.
I'd allow either of those fabulous leading ladies, but I just think they've got a great sense of humor, a little bit of quirkiness, and I think they're beautiful ladies that I would love to see those
Oh
those
man.
those ladies as the leading role. And I'm hoping that maybe Matthew McConaughey can play my husband.
Nice.
'Cause,
Man,
like that could really work out.
I love that. I love both of those actresses. That great picks. Those are awesome for you. And so what's your movie going to be called?
Oh, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Starring, we're still deciding either Cameron Diaz or Uma Thurman. This is perfect. I love it. Well, Michelle, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. For those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope that Michelle's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or you need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thank you for listening. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It was really fun talking with you.